Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 12 of the 32-part series breaking down every single team in the NFL and asking the question every single time, will they hit that number in the top right-hand corner? Today, it's my Green Bay Packers. But I say the Green Bay Packers. It is my Green Bay Packers, the team that I am a diehard fan of. And you have to know if you're watching this with virgin eyes, never imbibing my content before, I will say, when it comes to Packers land, I am very much a pessimistic Packers fan. There are a lot of journalists out there, we'll put air quotes around that cover the Green Bay Packers on the day to day. And this is a very positive reinforcement media group covering the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm not here to say that the Packers are bad. I'm not here to say that the Packers won't be a playoff team, that 9.5 number is not attainable. However, there are some that cover the Green Bay Packers that tend to do so with a soft hand, with white gloves on their fingers. And I don't really know why that is. Maybe the fan base really gravitates more towards positive talk than they do negative talk. I'm not sure. But I see this as a team that has, at least in my lifetime, been always in the running for that championship. And yet, extremely obvious things have held them back from achieving multiple championships. There's no reason the Aaron Rodgerses of the world should only come away with one Super Bowl appearance, and Brett Favre having his Super Bowl as well. And now we're here with Jordan Love. The next step of this Green Bay Packers QB legacy. Can LaFleur be the coach to get them to the promised land? A fantastic regular season team over the past few seasons, and yet only 3-6, I believe, in the playoffs. Is LaFleur and consistently giving up games that seemingly should be easy W's. I'm hoping that the 2026 Green Bay version of the Green Bay Packers is slightly different, but we'll only know if we break it all down right now. Today, we're going through this rundown just like we do every single team, answering the question at the top, will they hit that 9.5 win total? Starting off with three big picture items, the good, the bad, and the ugly to dive deeper into. Then we grade the roster, both the offense and the defense, hit you with a fantasy football target from the Packers that you should have on every one of your fantasy football teams. And then finally, go through the games week by week. Is there a win? Is there a loss? And predict what that final record will be. We're doing all this in alphabetical order. So we've done the Chicago Bears. We've done the Detroit Lions. Both of those I have as double-digit win teams. And so I'm interested to see if Green Bay can hit that over and join them in the ranks of the double-digit win teams, because I think you're going to need to get to 10 to make the playoffs this season in the NFC. A very strong NFC West, a very strong NFC North, especially with Minnesota being arguably the best fourth-place team in the NFL. Can Green Bay live up to the snuff, even though there are some holes on this team, and you're hoping that they made the right decisions in the offseason to get them over the hump, so to speak? But let's start off with did they do enough and hit up this good, bad, and ugly? And the good part is, man, if you can take anything away from a season last season that was beset with injuries and pivotal injuries to the Tucker Crafts, Micah Parsons of the world, a disgusting few losses to the Chicago Bears that Green Bay fans should not be over whatsoever. The one thing you can take away is that any question marks about Jordan Love shouldn't exist. That dude was a dude last season, fully coming into his own and leading an offense that in other parts was subpar to heights that they had not seen in a long time. Overall, the Green Bay Packers were 8th in points per drive. They were 7th in yards per drive. We're going to break down the run game in a second, but it was the pass game that got them to those numbers. 3rd in the NFL in pass efficiency, 3rd in the NFL in explosive pass play efficiency. They were 2nd on 3rd downs, and Jordan Love was a huge reason why, man. 1st in the NFL in EPA added per dropback when he had a clean pocket to work with, which wasn't often. But even when he had people at his feet, he was 2nd overall in the NFL in EPA added per play. This man, especially in that playoff game, was electric, and was, before he got picked up a couple of injuries, putting up MVP caliber numbers with the Drake May and Matthew Staffords of the world. And the one that convinced me was that playoff loss versus Chicago, because out of all the things that went wrong in that game, none of them were Jordan Love. None of them were Jordan Love. And even on that last drive after the defense gave up 5 consecutive scores to Chicago, Brandon McManus can't hit the broadside of a barn. Jordan Love came out with no hope. There's no hope we're going to win that drive. There's no hope we're going to win that game. The fans in Chicago are going crazy. Jordan Love led them down and threw a ball to Christian Watson in his hands on the 2-yard line going in, and Christian Watson drops it. Jordan Love led them third down, fourth down, time after time when the back was against the wall to keep them in the game, move them down the field, and score that game-winning touchdown. You can watch that play over and over again. He dices that ball through 3 Chicago Bears defenders in Christian Watson's hands. And it was thrown too hard. The wind was too cold. The weather was too cold. Christian Watson was too scared he was going to get popped by the safety. I don't know why Watson dropped it, but he did. And had he not, Jordan Love is a hero. And instead, we're sitting here thinking that Caleb Williams is going to be MVP. The Chicago Bears are taking the next step. Jordan Love, while Chicago will be awesome, Jordan Love is deservingly in those conversations as well. And I'm wondering, because of what I'm hearing from training camp, and actually Aaron Nagler reported this recently as early as today, this team, seemingly the offense, is going a lot faster in pace than what they have done in previous seasons. They want to push the ball down the field more because of the success Jordan Love and this team had last season. Even with those great numbers, like I told you, second in the world in EPA per dropback, third in explosive pass plays, Matt LaFleur still was a run-heavy, run-first, second, and third head coach. Green Bay Packers were 25th in the league in pass rate on first down. They were even worse on second and third down, 29th and 28th. In the red zone, they relied on the run so much, they were 29th in pass rate in the red zone, even though Jordan Love was ice in his veins. And so reports are coming from camp that they are running things a lot faster, going a little bit no huddle, speeding things up, and letting Jordan Love throw the ball more. Now, could that be because of the next part of this section, the offensive line not being too great at getting run lanes open? Maybe. But my hope is that Matt LaFleur finally, who wants to be a run-first coach, that's his whole offense is built around running the football, and he designed some excellent schemes surrounding it. However, this offense might be built for Jordan Love to take the reins and see how far they can go, because I think there are some excellent pass catchers on this team. And if they can give him the time to throw that football, Jordan Love has shown he might throw a few ducks. He might have a little Brett Favre in him where he throws on his back foot and it floats over. That Cleveland Browns interception still haunts me. However, when you look at more often than not, he makes those throws and makes a successful play. And I think we got to put the ball in his hands and see what can happen. Now, that's the good part of this team. And again, if you're just joining, we're breaking down every single lineup team the same exact way. These 3 big ticket items, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the bad is the part of the team that I have the biggest question mark about, and that is this offensive line. Because last season, this offensive line was not good. Jordan Love was pressured the most he was in his career. He was hit early in the play, under 2.5 seconds, the most he has ever been in this career, because this offensive line could not protect him. And yes, they face some injuries themselves. They're hoping people come back fully healthy, and they did change some pieces around, hoping those young draft picks can grow into their roles, but they need to be better. 29th in pressure rate. And in the run game, they were even worse. 30th in yards before contact in the run game. 19th in run block win rate. For a team that wanted to run as much as they did, they simply couldn't succeed because the offensive line couldn't do it for you. And when Josh Jacobs was back there running the football, and Green Bay fans hope the off-the-field stuff, whatever that may be, does not cost him any games this year, because as much as I would love Marshawn Lloyd to be the guy that we drafted, it's most likely going to be Josh Jacobs as a bell cow. And last season, he was 32nd in the NFL in runs that ended at the line of scrimmage or before. He was 40th in the league at turning his rush attempts into 5+ yard gains. 40th. There's only 32 teams. And part of that is on Josh Jacobs, but a huge part of that is on the offensive line. That needs to be fixed, and I'm not sure it has been. But we're going to go through the roster in a quick second here. But the thing I wanted to save for the ugly is the decision that I have not understood since, out of any of the offseason decisions the Green Bay Packers have made. That's bringing in John Gannon as the defensive coordinator. I understand that Hafley went to Miami. He had to chase his dream to be an NFL head coach, and good for him. Good for him. But the decision to bring in John Gannon when there were a myriad of other names out there, including, I don't know if he would have said yes to this, but it was pretty apparent that Jim Schwartz was not going to stay in Cleveland. And could we have thrown him an absolute boat and said, come to Green Bay for one season before you get a head coaching job elsewhere? John Gannon, to me, was never the guy that I wanted to be in Green Bay. And I understand there's a connection with LaFleur. It used to be great in Philadelphia with Gannon. In Arizona, it was terrible. It was genuinely terrible on the defensive side of the ball. And that's on John Gannon because that is his scheme. Those are the players that he drafted to play in his unit. And yes, they were beset by injuries. They were, I believe, the 31st most injured unit in the NFL was that Arizona defense last year. So the numbers for Arizona were pretty bad because of it. They were 29th in points allowed per drive, 28th in touchdowns allowed per drive, 32nd in forcing punts, 30th in allowing opposing offenses to hit the red zone per drive. I get it. But the scheme itself was the part that was letting these teams fall apart. And I have no idea why that man became the DC here, because the biggest thing that worries me, like if we don't want to talk about numbers, we don't talk about stats, we want to say Arizona was a lost cause, whatever, fine. You want to say we're getting the Philadelphia Jonathan Gannon back, fine. What scares me the most about getting this man is that 10 defensive players left the Arizona Cardinals last season in the offseason. The 2025 unit, 10 players left, either free agency, retired, moved on from Arizona, and none of them followed their former head coach into Green Bay. Not even for a camp tryout, not even for a depth linebacker, a depth defensive piece. There were some players that are on NFL teams right now. Maybe Green Bay didn't want to pay them the contract they got. Guess what? They didn't break the bank with those contracts, very affordable. None of them decided to follow their old head coach to his new spot because they're going to run the scheme. Gannon knows it. I'm going to go follow my head coach, keep playing my dream as an NFL player. No one. And that tells me a lot of what they thought of that man as a head coach in Arizona. And I'm very worried that his defensive scheme could really hurt the potential of this Green Bay Packers team. Hope I'm wrong. But let's grade the position groups right now, starting off with the offense. And again, QB room, Jordan Love, I think he's fantastic. When I did my QB rankings, I truly had him ninth best quarterback in the NFL. Hopefully that can even improve. Tyrod Taylor right now is the backup. Not sure if he makes the team because Kyle McCord could be the guy that they keep. Malik Willis was a fantastic backup for this team. Jordan Love has yet to play a full season. So this backup quarterback room is as important as anyone in the NFL. I don't love that Tyrod Taylor is the dude. I'm not sure. I mean, again, I didn't have faith in Malik Willis either until he proved it for me. So hopefully Tyrod Taylor still has the juice. But McCord did look a lot like he was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see the preseason game tomorrow, see McCord stretch his wings a little bit. I did graduate from Syracuse University, so I'm rooting for the guy. Overall, though, with this room, I'm putting it at a B- because of the unknown in the backup room and not exactly having faith there. Jordan Love's better than a B-, but you got to account for the backups as well. For the running back room, Josh Jacobs, I still think is a solid starting running back, the most expensive running back room in the NFL. Josh Jacobs, extremely solid. You hope that off the field stuff doesn't affect what's going on. And if it's true, man, I've already made my piece about Josh Jacobs. If anything that has been reported is true, I don't want him in a Green Bay Packer uniform, but we don't know innocent until proven guilty. Marshawn Lloyd, everyone's talking about how electric this guy has looked. Hopefully you're crossing your fingers that he is the guy we drafted in the 3rd round in 2024, one of the first running backs off the board. You hope he's the guy that they drafted, finally battling through some injuries, because if he is, the dynamic pairing of Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd could be awesome. And Matt LaFleur has been dreaming about this for 2 seasons, and yet he has yet to see it unfold. Overall, though, I'm giving this a solid B with the running back room because Josh Jacobs, again, we talked about those stats a few minutes ago. If that's on Jacobs, then this brings this down even further, but I'll give it a solid B. The offensive line I'm worried about, man. Jordan Morgan as a left tackle, I'm excited to see him, man. I've been excited to see him step up. Aaron Banks is back and practicing. We don't know what his injury has been. If he is injured and it does not fully come back, then it could be a really bad, one of the worst Gutekunst free agent signings that we've had. And the fact that we pushed his money down guaranteed. I don't want to get into salary cap stuff right now, but if Aaron Banks comes back, he could be a very solid addition to guard that needs it. I have no idea why we re-signed Sean Ryan, one of the worst centers in the league statistically, advanced statistics. You go with PFF grades, no matter where you look. Sean Ryan was one of the worst centers in the league, and yet we paid him pretty damn good money to come back. Didn't make sense to me. Anthony Belton is listed as a starter on here. He's not the starter in camp right now. Another early round pick. Don't know where he's going. And then I love my man, Zach BB. ZBB, excited for him at right tackle. Hopefully he stays healthy this year. Really like the tackles. Similar to Detroit, hate the interior of the offensive line. Am worried about the interior. Jaeger Burton could come out. He's already looking great in individual drills. He's part of the starting unit. He's taken over that Anthony Belton spot. He can't play every interior line position, though. And so I'm hoping that I'm wrong about my individual scouting of the Sean Ryans of the world, the Aaron Banks of the world. I'm hoping it works out because you would hate to have the lanes not open up in this running game and Jordan Love to be under pressure yet again. But overall, this is a C- O-line, period. And that's being nice. The pass catching group is the best part of the offense outside of obviously Jordan Love. I think Christian Watson is a true demon this season. I love to see what Matthew Golden can do with consistent snaps on the field. And then Jaden Reed is a slot guy that you hope he stays healthy because he can be electric with the ball in his hands. And then once Tucker Kraft comes back, one of the best tight ends in the league. This pass catching group truly is underrated and I think really, really good. I'll probably give it a B plus pass catching group with the chance to hit the A. Really, if Tucker Kraft and Christian Watson can hit those numbers. As for the defense, man, this is Micah Parsons or bust. He's not likely going to be back immediately. He's still working back from that terrible knee injury he suffered against Denver. And even with the games that he missed, Micah Parsons had the third most pressures total in the entire NFL. This team is solely built around what Micah Parsons can do. If he's not on the field, this defense will be not good. Period. It will be not good. Starting off in the defensive backcourt, though, Keyshawn Nixon listed as the starter here. We don't believe he's going to be the starter come tip-off. People really like Cisse playing in his training camp and Carrington Valentine on the other side. And we are going to be running a lot of three safety sets with this Gannon lineup, and we have the players to do it between Xavier McKinney, Elvin Williams. And thank you for, or I should say, hat tip to Haddon coming back from that terrible injury. Excited to see all these guys play out. However, there's still no real guaranteed CB1 on this team. And the less Nixon plays, the better, in my opinion. So I love the safeties, don't love the corners, probably giving it a C, defensive back room. When you go into the off-ball linebackers, though, it's spectacular. I love Zaire Franklin, getting him over here. I think is exactly what this team needs. And losing Quay Walker, I think Zaire comes in and does exactly what you need. And then Edgerrin Cooper, man, if it wasn't for Micah Parsons, Edgerrin Cooper is my favorite player on the defense. I think he is ferocious. Excited to see how that all works out, and hopefully Zaire can stay healthy for the full season. He is getting up there in age because I know Matt LaFleur is talking about how great Tyron Hopper is. He's not exactly the guy, at least what I'm seeing, that can compete in the NFL level right now, but the top two is very good, giving it a solid B+. And then the defensive line, man, you're hoping Chris McClellan can take over that full nose tackle because it is a fully different scheme now with Jonathan Gannon coming in. Hargrave in the middle, I think, is a great signing, even though he's up there in age. He's a guy that can absolutely be a disruptor on the interior. And then Devontae Wyatt, I've loved just since we've drafted him. The edge players, though, other than Micah Parsons, is what scares me when it comes to the D-line. Lucas Van Ness, I'm going to say it, he's the worst draft pick of the Gutekunst era. And we are fully relying on him to be a first-round draft pick right now. And I'm not sure he can do that, especially if Micah Parsons gone, because people love Sorrell. They love the Penn State kid, the fourth-round pick, Dennis Sutton. But no one is Micah Parsons. And if we can't have Micah on the field, we need one of these guys to be a difference maker coming off the edge. And that falls solely on Lucas Van Ness, and I'm not sure he can do it. Take Micah Parsons out, man. This D-line is a D+, C-. With Micah Parsons, obviously, that goes up in the air. But without the D-line, that puts more pressure on the defensive backcourt that we don't have a lot of faith in. And I'm afraid, just like Chicago and just like Detroit, this is an excellent offense with terrible defenses. And these games are going to be extremely high scoring. But that means good news for fantasy players. Because out of all the players you can grab on the Green Bay Packers when you're in your fantasy drafts, I'm telling you right now, you should draft Christian Watson as your wide receiver. You can get Jordan Love. You can get Tucker Kraft and hope he's healthy. Josh Jacobs is going way later for a guy who should be an RB1. But Christian Watson, I think, is going to have the breakout season. Should he stay healthy, knock on any wood that is around you right now, I think Christian Watson is going to have the breakout season for Green Bay. Last season, even in the limited playing time, him coming back from an injury, he was still 11th in the league in EPA added per target. He was 7th in the league in yards per route run. And Jordan Love had the best deep ball accuracy in the NFL. So with these two together, they should be able to collaborate and really open things up. And as we know, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks are no longer in the building. That's 130 targets between the two of them that are open up for grabs. Some of those are going to go to Matthew Golden. Some of those are going to go to a healthy Tucker Kraft. But this guy should see the highest workload that he's seen throughout his entire career. And with what we've seen so far, I think he can absolutely be a number one wide receiver in this league and set the world on fire with what he can bring to the table. And he's going so cheaply in fantasy drafts that I think he's an absolute hammer at that price. But that's the end of the fantasy talk. That's the end of the big picture talk. Instead, now it's time to break down the individual season, the individual schedule, and see if we can hit that 9.5 number. Because again, that is what the Vegas number is for games Green Bay will win. It is 9.5. Will they go over or under that number? That is yet to be determined, and that's what we're going to figure out right now. This is the schedule as we see fit, and we got the rest advantages and disadvantages in there. We also have a couple of cold weather games as Green Bay plays a bunch of games at the end of the season in Lambeau Field. It's always fun to have cold weather games, snow on the ground. And as you can see, we have a couple of wins and losses already decided. Those are from other videos that we've done because I've covered all these teams in alphabetical order, and I want to make sure I have the same wins and losses at the end of the season. Some of that might change right now when we go through it because I might have different thoughts about the Packers than I had a few days ago when I did these breakdowns, but mostly right now we're going to make sure all these things stay the same. And the question remains, are we going to go over 9.5 wins as a Green Bay Packers team, or are we going to go under? We're going to be 9-8, which was good enough for fourth place last season in the NFC North, was 9-8. And that over, as you can see on there, is juiced. As the DraftKings line right now is juiced to the over. So people are predicting a 10-win or better Green Bay team. They are our second best odds to win the division at just over 2-1. And they have, I believe, the third or fourth best odds to win the NFC at 9-1. And this schedule in particular, we got a couple of gifts. And we also got a couple of things that are against us. And I do say us because this is my team. I do love them to death. I am part owner, as many of the viewers probably are. So I do feel a little bit of kinship towards this team. In the beginning, without Micah Parsons, with Tucker Kraft unknown, a couple of players battling back from injury and picking up things in training camp, we are facing 3 of our first 4 games on the road. But they are, each one of them, against, in my opinion, inferior opponents. And I am scared of Jordan Love going up against this Brian Flores defense in Minnesota. Crowd will be going crazy. We get to see Kyler Murray first and foremost. And again, it's against a defense that I don't think will threaten Kyler Murray at all. I don't think Kyler Murray is that good, but I don't believe Lucas Van Ness is going to cause some havoc against Christian Darrisaw on the offensive line of Minnesota. If Mike is playing, it's a completely different story. However, in this game, I am genuinely worried about it. And yeah, I am the pessimistic Packers fan. I'm going with a loss in week 1 against Kyler Murray, but I do believe we beat the Jets. I do believe we beat Atlanta on Thursday night in our home opener. And then with the extra 3 days rest, even though Tampa Bay is going to be a tough team to run over, I do think we take care of business against Tampa as well. And then based on past videos, we have a week 5, 6, and 7 that is extremely difficult, and I have us going on a 3-game losing streak based on past videos. Chicago's going to be good this season. Don't get me wrong. Even though this is in Lambeau, they've broken our hearts last season. They could break our hearts again. And then if you look at week 6 and week 7, Dallas on Sunday Night Football, where Dallas has 3 days extra rest. And then we face Detroit, have to travel to Detroit after playing Sunday night, and Detroit is coming off of their bye week. As of right now, I'm not taking any one of these losses away, sadly. I think we are entering that Carolina game on Thursday Night Football with a 3-4 record, and we take care of business and get back up to 4-4. Because You're hoping Micah Parsons comes back for those games. You're hoping Tucker Kraft is fully healthy. You're going to need them to be, but I could see us really having a tough time, especially with the rest disadvantages in that part of the season. So we're 4-4 halfway through, and I will say it gets a lot easier from here. Because if the Green Bay Packers are better than 4-4 at this point in the season, this is going to be an excellent year for the Green Bay Packers. I have them beating the New England Patriots in New England. Um, Getting a little bit of a break there coming off of the Thursday night game. I don't believe New England is as good as last year's team. It'll be fun to see Romeo Dobbs play, and he'll probably eat Keyshawn Nixon alive at that point. But I do think Green Bay can hold their own against New England in New England. And then Minnesota, we get our win back there. I think splitting against Minnesota is the right thing to do. And we're going from 4-4 to 6-4, hitting that bye with a little bit of forward momentum. Now, this part of the schedule does stink. We're coming off of our bye week, playing halfway early a Wednesday night game because I believe this is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Uh, Against arguably the best team in the NFL, the LA Rams, who are also coming off of their bye, so no rest advantage on the bye. Instead, we're heading to SoFi and playing a hot Rams team. I hate this one. I do. I hate this one. That's going to be a loss to the LA Rams off the bye, and you hate to lose that. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses on a 9-5 slate. Not great. However, New Orleans, with that, because we're playing on Wednesday, we get those 4 extra days, and I don't think New Orleans is that good. Taking that win and keeping the loss against the Buffalo Bills in Lambeau, a team that I think is going to be very, very good. Miami, Malik Willis, hopefully still playing at this point. Hopefully, the playing for the Dolphins this season doesn't destroy that man. But I do believe we take care of business against Miami. And as you can see, after this New Orleans game, 4 of our last 5 are at home. And yes, we lose the Buffalo one, but that should give us a little bit of home cooking. I have us beating Chicago in Chicago on Christmas. I'm giving myself a Christmas present. And if you disagree, I don't care. I don't care. But as you can see here, there's only one game to remain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses. I already have us at 10 wins. I think I'm relatively confident that even with all those losses in the beginning, we're going to hit this over because of how nice this schedule is at the end, should everyone stay healthy. As for Houston on Monday Night Football, that's going to be a very, very difficult game. And I do think it's a game that can decide whether Green Bay is in division contention or whether they are 10-7 and have a low-hanging wild card game again, which would stink. Because I have Chicago, I believe, winning 12 to 13 games. I can't remember exactly. Detroit, I have winning 10-7. We just did their video. It's on the page right now, Tony Squares NFL, if you want to check us out. However, this team should be better than Houston. Even with that strong defense that Houston has, I do not have a lot of faith in that offense to be able to move the football. And it's kind of like a rock, a movable object situation. But I do believe, because we're home on Monday Night Football in the cold, I do believe Green Bay can pull that victory out. And I have this team going 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have this team going 11-6. And it is just enough to not win the division at plus 225, but it is definitely enough to send them into the playoffs, probably as a 5 seed. And hopefully that takes us on an easier path than what we've had in seasons past. But I do believe that this offense has really figured some stuff out, and I have a lot of faith in Jordan Love. And you hope that this defense with Micah Parsons can be ferocious, but you do worry that the John Gannon thing can hold us back. If you also agree that the Green Bay Packers can go over this number, I am telling you, do not take it right now, because when you look at weeks 5 through 7, Green Bay is going to lose a few of those games. Might not lose all 3 like I have predicted, but they're going to lose a few of those games. That's when I would take it. When we're week 8 Carolina, at New England week 9, that's when I would take a hit on the over 9.5. Might even be down to 8.5 at that point. That's when I would hammer that one, because it's going to be a struggle fest early. However, I believe Green Bay rights the ship and they kind of go on a tear. As opposed to the last few seasons, they go on a tear into the playoffs this season and hopefully can make some magic happen. But that is it for breaking down the Green Bay Packers. We will be back tomorrow hitting most of the AFC South teams, Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, help this channel grow, give us a follow. I'm excited to break it all down. And hopefully I'm right about this Green Bay team, because Lord knows I need some good juju after the awful, awful games against those Chicago Bears. We shall see you on the next one.